Wellington Labor MP says the city's bus services are so poorly run they should go back to being run by the council.
The launch for new electric buses for the capital's network after the Environment Minister publicly called out the regional council over its treatment of bus drivers.
It comes as the city's bus chaos continued for the fourth day in a row, with a new contractor struggling in the role.
32 services were cancelled this morning after several drivers failed to turn up a week ahead of the new contract kicking in.
Wellington is the New Zealand city most reliant on public transport. In 2018, 72% of all Wellingtonians used some form of public transport. This includes trains, ferries, and most importantly, buses. In recent years, Wellington's public transport operator Metlink has come under fire due to constant bus delays, cancellations, and route changes. We interviewed some Wellington High School students to get their view on the current bus situation.
I use Metlink buses every day.
I use them every day.
Every day.
Like 4 times a day.
I use them to get to school, I use them to get home, I use them to get around town pretty much.
Do you find they show up on time and?
More I guess it depends on the service. You know, it's a couple minutes out of the side, it doesn't show up about on time.
They never come for me, they're always cancelled. I don't know what time they're coming.
Yeah, it's usually also cancelled last minute. Like I'll check it 10 minutes before and then maybe 2 minutes before it actually comes, it's then cancelled. Or it just never shows up.
During these interviews, we found that multiple high school students claimed to have negative bus driver experiences. Students said the drivers had been rude and irritable, or in some cases, avoiding stops where other students would get on.
And I don't know, the bus drivers are rude as well.
Yeah, some of the drivers are though.
I think that some bus drivers can be a bit more like friendly and kind, and
Like, I mean, like they're grumpy and all that for no reason.
What do you think Metlink should focus on going forward?
I think they need to focus on
getting better bus schedules. More like on-time buses. Sometimes they can be a bit unreliable. The bus stops so frequently and then it takes like an hour to get to somewhere that should take an hour.
like cancelling the right buses, because a lot of the school buses that go by, there's so many and there's barely anybody on the buses, and then my bus is cancelled and at least maybe 30 kids rely on it, and then it's cancelled and they have to catch a different bus or their parents have to come pick them up.
I don't think you're okay. Scott, could you clap for us? Awesome.
Done.
Cool. Okay. So we're going to start off by, have you been interviewed on camera before?
Yes.
Like
for all of the main news channels and international news media as well.
Okay, so you've done this before.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So Scott Gallagher, and I'm the General Manager of Metlink here at Greater Wellington Regional Council.
Kia ora, I'm Bonnie Parfitt, Manager Network and Customer here at the Metlink team at Greater Wellington. So we put together all the bus routes, the timetable, the services.
Kia ora, my name's Melissa Anderson. I'm the Manager of Metlink Operations and Partnerships.
Metlink's place is, we are the entity who's responsible for all the moving parts. We're the agency that contracts with the likes of Userbus, NZ Bus, Mana and Transurban for the bus network. More people per capita use public transport here in Wellington than anywhere else in the country.
COVID has had an impact on frontline staff availability, so that does affect the reliability of our services. We are seeing at times we're having about 100 odd staff off across the network on any given day. We absolutely prioritise school services, so even in the current COVID environment where our partners are met with quite large absenteeism at the moment, what does run and what gets prioritised are the school services, and those services that we know our tamariki and our children in our communities really rely upon. So from a operational perspective, that's our number one priority, and that's what every day we go out to deliver. We make sure every school service runs.
Working with the schools, I'm thinking about Wellington High. Clearly there's a number of stakeholders we're working with to make sure we're delivering the optimal service, because if I think about Wellington High and the bus stops you have there, the interesting quirk we have is, whilst there are bus stops on the Metlink network We don't own those bus stops, and we're not in control of the traffic management, so we have to work with Wellington City Council to make sure Wellington City Council is giving us the right consents, and maybe when we need to change how we can improve some of the bus stops. But look, fundamentally, if there's any way in which we can improve the experience for Wellington High in terms of the buses, we'd love to know.
We reached out to NZ Bus to investigate the students' issues with bus drivers.
Can we get the establishing shot?
Oh, yeah, we can get that establishing shot.
My name is Antoinette. I'm the service delivery trainer for NZ Bus in Wellington. Been with the company for 4 years.
Are high school students a pain to pick up on the bus?
For me personally, school children are some of my favourite passengers. As long as you treat any passenger with respect, it is generally returned. You greet a passenger, passenger greets back, we're all happy. It becomes a bit more difficult when especially high school students are trying to prove their place in society. And then we suddenly get things like tagging in the buses, damage being done to the actual buses, which unfortunately will then require that bus to be taken out of service for those issues to be dealt with. Then unfortunately you get drivers who get a bit frustrated and do end up being seen as to be negative, whereas it's more a sense of frustration. But again, if we all respected each other, respected each other's work environments, it would go a lot smoother. And if driver then needs to swap buses and that bus gets taken out of service, and we then lose man hours for that bus. A, for the bus to be repaired, and purely we can't use the bus until such time as it's been returned to normal working condition.
What would you say to students who have had negative bus driver experiences? What do you tell them?
What would I say? When you get on the bus, greet your driver. When you get off the bus, thank your driver. If you're friendly with the driver, it's got no option but to be friendly back.
Could we take some other shots around the depot?
Yes, yep.
Awesome.
The most important thing for us is having capacity on our network and having options and resilience so that we can actually keep running our network and that it can absorb growth and also attract new customers in the future. And we can have different ways that customers can interact and get that information. So whether it's on the app or whether we have signs, or there might be signs on the bus that show you where the next stop is, and hopefully we'll have a broader breadth of information available.
And the whole network is so connected, because obviously we're completely connected. It means the drivers and the buses that will be turning up to do the school runs would have been coming probably off typically another run somewhere else in the network, in a more one of the public routes. Then they convert into the school bus service, and then once they've finished running the school bus, they'll reconvert back in to one of our regular public transport services as well. So it is quite connected, but it does mean sometimes if Taranaki's busy, or if suddenly a bus is coming off of, say, could be the Route 2 or the Route 14-1, they might be delayed because of something, which means they then would be delayed coming in. And I think that's where we need to make sure the real-time information is clear.
Going forward, we hope to have more reliable bus updates, so you can easily access real-time information regarding your trip, all from your phone.
I think some of the angriest feedback is also some of the most positive for us, because it highlights we need to really think about things.
And it's your feedback that can help build a better Metlink.
Look, we work through, we engage with everyone who phones a contact centre, sends an email, sends us letters, reaches out. We need to listen. That's the most important thing. We have to listen. Customers and people in the community who sometimes are validly upset because unfortunately something occurred which meant they did not get the continuity of service or seamless public transport which they deserved. And we need to sort that out. And we very much welcome everyone to always reach out and share that with us. And look, probably the key message is also just for all the other crew at Wellington High is, we're just always open for feedback. And if people have any ideas as to how we might be able to improve maybe the school bus services or anything else, just let us know. And again, as we said, I'm quite conscious, I know for Wellington High in terms of where you got your stops. I know people say, shit guys, you could really improve some of the stops here. That's something we need to work with Wellington City Council on, because they're the roading authority and we don't have control on that.
For our last trick, we wanted a quick talk about what else transport might look like in the near future.
Hey Sam, where do I currently study? The University of Auckland. So yeah, I should be an expert on all things urban planning. What got me into urban planning? I hate to say it's pretty embarrassing, but urban planning Twitter of all things. Compared to like Auckland has way more roads with bus lanes, also a bit more bus priority, but that makes sense since like Auckland's roads are way wider, whereas Wellington, like internationally, all of New Zealand's roads are pretty narrow since it's, I don't know, a hilly country with small budgets, but
the key is just figuring out what's going to be best for Wellington given our unique topography and geography.
Even just things like bus priority though, where you get like the little bus signal at the traffic light.
Greater Wellington Regional Council is a partner in Let's Get Wellington Moving, and through that partnership and that program of work we also have a focus on delivering better bus priority, which will hopefully help our buses to move quickly and faster through the city.
It's those sort of things that are pretty cheap, which can have a pretty decent impact on the bus network and like speeds and reliability.
Because they will have that priority, whether it means extra bus lanes or traffic lights that let the bus go first. Those sorts of improvements can really help us in terms of running our buses more efficiently, and also providing that reliability for customers. And hopefully in the next couple of years we'll start to see some of those bus priority improvements actually being delivered in the city centre, which will make a big difference.
I got all these answers from professors.
Really?
No, they're just in my hair, all Ratatouille style. Metlink Nation, Metlink Mafia.